The Montreal Canadiens are happy with their start, winning 2 of their first 3. Laura Saba of Locked On Canadiens will talk about how they did it and what it'll take to sustain it. All that and more next on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. It is great to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Canadiens, Laura Saba. And Laura, 2 out of your first 3 games in the W column. What's gone right most for the Canadiens?
So I think one of the biggest things is that they did not have the same problem as last year, where last year the players had come together. There were so many new faces and they hadn't built any chemistry. So, in this case, it's not just players that are back from last year, but even the new players that joined the team, like Noah Dobson, Zach Bolduc, et cetera, et cetera. They've been skating together all summer. Not every single one of them, but, you've seen Ivan Demidov skate with Lane Hutson. There's been a lot of presence in Montreal. There's been a lot of skating together even before they were officially due to return. And, guys drop in, drop out. So they kind of had started to hit the ground running. And they have that maturity that they didn't have last season. They have the chemistry they didn't have last season. And I think the new additions are contributing to right off the bat. And you can't complain, really.
Talk to me about Zachary Bolduc, off to a great start, and what have you seen from him so far?
Fantastic. So far, 4 points in 3 games, 3 goals in 3 games. He has been a revelation, right? He was traded in the offseason to Montreal for Logan Mailloux, and it has not taken long for people to be excited about that. I know there's a strong contingent of Montreal Canadiens fans that were very firmly behind Logan Mailloux, really wanting him to work out. But now he's in St. Louis, and, that chapter is closed, and what a return. I know you can't expect somebody to sustain a pace like this, but at least in the early going, what Zach Bolduc has shown is that he belongs, and he has brought out a side in some of the other players that we're seeing that, it feels like they feel like they're free. They play a lot more free with him on the ice. His speed and his skill. I think we were familiar in a certain way, but I don't think we thought that he could be this good this quickly.
Gotta love that kind of start and what it does for the players around him. As the host of Locked On Islanders, got to ask about Noah Dobson and what is going on? The fans were on him in the preseason.
They were. Okay. So I think that Noah Dobson, like a lot of players, came back, and in the preseason, I don't even call it preseason anymore. I just call it groin injury season, because that's what they do, right? They come back after having been off for a long time, and everybody just tweaks their groin. So he wasn't playing full throttle. And the other thing too was that when they first traded for him, people put together their lines and their defensive pairings, and the most common pairing that you heard him associated with was with Mike Matheson, and people thought that would be an absolute disaster because they're both offensive defensemen who aren't always relied upon to be especially defensive. But that pairing has been incredible for the Montreal Canadiens. Honestly, we are watching it and we are not believing our own eyes how good it's been. Through 3 games, they are together. They have brought out the best in each other, right? And so I'm really enjoying this. I know it's not, again, there's going to be times throughout the season that they're going to break up that pairing. There's going to be struggles. What if the Canadiens get a return for Mike Matheson that they can't refuse, right? He is an unexpiring contract. He's a very serviceable defenseman, but they both look so good playing with each other. So good. And Noah Dobson has been giving us flashes of brilliance on the power play, which I know we're going to get into a little bit later on, because the power play isn't where we want it to be, but just something about it is magic. In fact, on our show we have a graphic. It's the Mike meter, and it goes from tragic Mike to magic Mike. And through the first 3 games, the Mike meter has been Magic Mike all along. And I really think that it is the Noah Dobson pairing that's doing this. It's this new lease on life that he has. He's talked about wanting to stay here. He said he would take a pay cut to stay here. So maybe they work something out, because this pairing, if it continues like this throughout the season, they're not going to want to break it up.
Talk to me about Lane Hutson. A lot of rumors that his contract extension will be signed soon. What are you hearing?
So I think essentially what had happened was there was a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of speculation about it. And there's a lot of nervousness about it because it's not being done as quickly as we want. However, yesterday, the news on the Hockey Night in Canada, Elliot Friedman said, both sides are saying that they don't want to talk to the media anymore because it's getting blown out of proportion. And I would agree with that. Every single day, people would be hinging on one word that was said in the reporting, right? And then now people are talking about his family's getting involved. And here's what I know, and I cannot reveal my source, but it's a very good one, is that it's just a matter of working things out. Nobody is fighting. It's not emotional. It's not emotionally charged in any way. There's no dispute. They're literally going back and forth on some of the finer parts of the deal, right? We do expect a deal soon. We expect it to be 8 years, in around the same range as Noah Dobson is making. If the Canadiens have to give up a couple of years to get a little bit of relief on the salary, I think they're willing to do that. So you might see a 6-year. But as far as I know, everything's fine. They just don't want to talk to the media anymore, because the media was kind of blowing it out of proportion and saying that Lane Hutson was getting stressed out about it. It was affecting his performance. His performance is fine. Nothing's wrong. We all just need to calm down collectively. I think people are just kind of making mountains out of molehills. They're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I have it on good authority that Kent Hughes is not stressed, and Lane Hutson's agent is not stressed, and Lane Hutson is fine. It's not affecting his performance. The broken sticks are affecting his performance. Everything's going to be okay.
All right, so you are now the unofficial yoga teacher of Canadiens Nation here.
Yes,
But,
yes.
All right, so what are you happy with through the first 3 games, and what needs work?
So I think the first game against Toronto was really, really good. The Canadiens lost that game 5-2. Unfortunately, it was a broken stick that kind of got in the way of Lane Hutson, not just making. I think he was about to pass to somebody, but he also he had to backcheck real quickly on his own. So that was one of the Toronto goals, and the other 2 were empty net goals, right? At the end of the period, where the Canadiens still had a chance to win. But the Canadiens outplayed Toronto by every metric. They had Toronto hemmed in their zone. They were skating circles around Toronto. So I think if they continue to play like that, they're going to be fine. On the second night, it was in Detroit against Detroit, home opener, centennial season, but Montreal still beat them 5-1. On the second night of a back-to-back, because they had all those elements that work together, right? Like they kept clicking, and what they're doing is they're playing for each other. That game against Chicago kind of exposed a little bit of things to be nervous about, and that's what we want to talk about, getting better. They spent a large part of that game on the power play, and they were not able to convert except for once, right? So that's something that we do have to, as a team, as a fan base, we kind of have to not lose our heads about it yet, but they need to work on it. That's something they need to work on. So if you're asking me, how are they going to sustain? How are they going to continue to be good? They need to figure out their special teams. Their penalty kill wasn't too bad. It's not too bad. It's got a lot of guys on it that you wouldn't expect. Like Mike Matheson is back there. Alex Newhook is back there. These guys are doing really well on that penalty kill. It's very aggressive. It's very confident. I love that. But the power play is definitely something they're going to have to look at. And the other thing is that Martin St. Louis has kind of balanced his lines. He doesn't touch the top line, which is Slavkovsky, Suzuki, and Caulfield. He's not touching that. But the rest of the lineup is balanced by one guy who's really good defensively, one guy who's very fast, and then a playmaker, right? Which is a formula that's working for a couple of the lines, but it's kind of leaving Patrick Laine a little bit in the dust. And I don't know if Kirby Dach has fully acclimated to his line. So it's brought out, Kapanen's doing great. Newhook is like doing great. You saw Zach Bolduc is doing well. So maybe there'll be some tweaking because he likes to roll the line. So maybe there'll be some tweaking on that front to make Patrick Laine a bit more effective, and to kind of really allow Kirby Dach to attain that next level we've all been waiting for him to be a bona fide 2C. But so far, after 3 games, I can't complain about too much. They just really need to figure out that power play, and then they can work out that the line combinations a little bit later, as long as they get that going, because you can't, they had, I think, 11 opportunities against Chicago.
Wow.
Which is a lot. It's a lot. 11. It's 22 minutes on the power play, but actually it was a little bit more than that because there was like a 5-minute as well. So they had a lot of power play time, and they literally just scored 1 goal. So that's a problem. That rate is not going to be sustainable if they want to be one of the teams. Like you're going to end up losing games by 1 goal and thinking that power play goal might have been the difference. So they really need to fix that sooner than later.
Well, we shall see. It should be an exciting season in Montreal. Laura, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
So you can find our podcast on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast, just like Locked On NHL. We're at Locked On Canadiens. It's me and my co-host, Ian Boisvert. And you'll find us on social media. We're on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Blue Sky at Locked On Canadiens. And you can also send us emails at lockedoncanadiens@gmail.com if you have any mailbag questions, segment ideas, you want to hear. If you're a Canadiens fan, please join us. We would love to have you.
All right, Laura, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gil.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays to increase my odds. I've tried player props, and I've even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Again, place that first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. Go to FanDuel.com today. Check it out.